All right, so first of all, I just want to say I know I've been slacking a bit with The Last of Us, but I will get back to it. I will try and finish it soon. But right now, I just found something by Shadows. I'm pretty sure he's the one I was talking shit about in the one in the previous Gorgeous in the video. But anyways, he's got your Haunting Jurassic Park media that will give you nightmares, and that just sounded straight up interesting. And I'm gonna give you all nightmares. So without further ado, let's just get straight to it because I, don't want to sleep. Great.
As a kid, Jurassic Park has always fascinated me. From the haunting way they seemingly clone their dinosaurs to the dark corridors and spaces held within its facilities. What secrets did they hold? What did we never get to see hidden in the darkness? Well, I went searching for these answers, and well, I found myself looking into the abyss of haunting Jurassic Park media, and what I found, well, changed my view on the franchise forever.
You see, Jurassic Park and not just
from us, or only subtly told in the novels and films. Now, don't get me wrong, some of it was blatantly shown, and I will explore that later on. But other things, well, you really had to look and dig deep to find this stuff. One such thing was the DX virus, or as it's known, Disease X. This was a virus which was never shown on screen, but featured very briefly in the novel. And I know this sounds crazy, but it's very akin to Primal's version of the Plague of Madness. But in summary, it's one of the most horrifying pieces of dinosaur media in recent history, hell, even of all time. And the fact that something like this existed in Jurassic Park blew my mind, so I had to continue researching it. And what I found was completely shocking. Not only did a disease like the Plague of Madness exist in Jurassic Park, it literally ravaged the entire population and was an overarching story point in the Lost World. Now, don't get me wrong, it doesn't turn the dinosaurs into zombies like we see in the Plague of Madness, but it does a pretty damn good job, and the result is exactly the same. They both result in death. Now, that's all I'm going to say on this piece of media, because I did...
the Disease X or whatever, Virus X, Disease X, yes. It's similar to rabies, I'd say. Makes them lose control, makes them go insane, makes them attack their own kind. Like, they can be in a herd, super friendly, but then next second just start biting each other's necks out. Then it's similar to zombies as well. Transfers the exact same way. Any bite, as soon as it's in your bloodstream or anything, you're gonna be infected. It is a crazy disease.
Did a huge video on that, and I recommend checking it out after this. And to me, that was pretty tame into what I'm going to talk about next, because this next piece of media really did scar me when I first heard about it. You see, this isn't even mentioned or alluded to at all in the films, and only crops up in the novel. And well, here it is. I'm going to give it to you right now. Now prepare yourself, because I'm going to read this directly from the script. Here we go. The tropical rain fell in great drenching sheets, hammering the corrugated roof of the clinic in Anasako. It was nearly midnight, the power had been lost in the storm, and the midwife Elena Merles was working by flashlight when she heard some squeaking, chirping sounds. Thinking that it was a rat, she quickly put on a compress on the forehead of the mother and went into the next room to check on the newborn baby. As her hand touched the doorknob, she heard the chirping again, and she relaxed. Evidently, it was just a bird flying in the window to get out of the rain. Costa Ricans said that when a bird came to visit a newborn child, it brought good luck. Elena opened the door.
Again,
the infant
at any sense of anything that shouldn't happen, like you say it's planned out or whatever, any sense of danger or anything that happens out of the ordinary, I would not at any time go by myself. I would make sure I'm at least 2, maybe 3 at least, because you don't know if shit's gonna go down.
Lay in a wicker basket. Swaddled in a light blanket, only its face exposed. Around the rim of the bassinet, 3 dark green lizards crouched like gargoyles. When they saw Elena, they cocked their heads and started curiously
when the compies ate the baby's face.
It did not flee. In the light of her flashlight, Elena saw the blood dripping from their snouts. Softly chirping, one lizard bent down and with a quick shake of its head, tore a ragged chunk of flesh from the baby. Elena rushed forward screaming, and the lizards fled into the darkness.
I've heard this before, it's insane.
Not long before she reached the bassinet, she could see what had happened to the infant's face. She knew the child must be dead.
That's going to change your guys' viewpoint on compies forever.
Into the rainy night, chirping and
freaking insane. Gangster. They're insane. They don't give 0 shits.
Like birds. But we're not finished there. There's plenty more coming up. And I'd like to finish this section off with another bit of media from the book, and how it's portrayed completely different to the films. And that is Dennis Nedry's death scene. And it's far more gruesome than we initially thought. Now, it's worth mentioning here there are 2 versions of Dennis Nedry's death, the novel version and the film version. I want to cover the novel version first so we can get that out of the way, and then continue with the film version. So in the novel, Dennis Nedry again does get attacked by a Dilophosaurus, but it's a different scene setting. The Dilophosaurus isn't like the one we see in the movie. In fact, it's several times larger.
Oh.
Now the dinosaur blinds Nedry with its venomous saliva, rips his stomach open, causing his intestines to spill out, and then
that's a lot more gruesome than what you've seen.
A far more gruesome death than the original Jurassic Park.
By
now,
far.
Nedry's remains in the novel were found later on by Muldoon and Gennaro, and he was being devoured by a group of scavenging compies. Now, Gennaro does ask what they should do with his body, and Muldoon basically just states that they have more important things to worry about and left it where they found it. His remains were presumably destroyed when the entire island at the end of the novel was napalm bombed by the Costa Rican Air Forces. That solves the mystery of Nedry's body in the novel. Done and dusted. But the film, however, has far more backstory and mysteries than meets the eye. And believe it or not, there are actually references to Dennis Nedry's family in other iterations of Jurassic Park, but that's something I'll talk about later. Now, as for the film, the last time we see him is him being mauled to death in the Jeep, but that isn't the case throughout the franchise. Now, there was a canon website called the DPG.
Yeah, that's true. The Jeep scene was the last scene. That dialer that killed him, by the way, wasn't even a full-grown one.
The Jurassic franchise, and one of these bits of information was the investigation into Dennis Nedry and his espionage. There's a report on file which
screw around,
Dennis
you find
Nedry
out.
and his
That's what he
backstory,
did.
and also tells us that
Got
there was
him
a
freaking
clean-up
killed.
operation in
Stupid ass.
1994. Now, looking at this very sensitive document, you can clearly see that they investigated the premeditated attack on the park systems, and it was sabotaged by Dennis Nedry. Now, you can pause here and have a great look at this information because there's some great lore in this document, but I want to draw your attention to the location of the deceased employee. And what it actually says is the remains of blanked out, which is obviously Dennis Nedry, were discovered during the 1994 cleanup located outside tunnel leading towards the East Dock.
Was it the first movie where he died? Because then that's how long is that before 1994? I can't remember. Lean toward the East Dock, post-mortem concluded death as whatever.
1994 cleanup located outside tunnel.
When did the first movie take place? I can't remember. Was it 1987 or something?
The cause of death as
honestly can't remember.
Out. Now, what is extremely interesting is the fact that this is canon to the Jurassic franchise. So canonically, we have now proven that Dennis Nedry's body has been recovered. But what actually happened to it after that? Surely his family will come looking for him, and we do have
wait. Does it say?
Happened to it after?
No, it doesn't say the date that he died.
His family will come looking for him, and we do have two relatives on file which we know about. 4 years after this incident, Peter Ludlow took the position of CEO at InGen with the proposal of making Jurassic Park in San Diego. It's in this film, The Lost World Jurassic Park, which is in 1997, Ian Malcolm criticizes Peter Ludlow for twisting the facts surrounding the deaths of 3 people.
You signed a non-disclosure agreement before you went to the island that expressly forbade you from discussing anything you saw. You violated that agreement.
Yeah, I did, and you lied. You twisted the facts surrounding the deaths of 3 people. There aren't any versions of the truth, and I'll tell you something, InGen can't keep spewing out.
InGen is my responsibility now, Doctor, and I will jealously defend its interests. In a few weeks' time, they'll be long forgotten.
Not by me.
Which he quotes
Ian
Donald
Malcolm
Gennaro,
was freaking
Ray Arnold,
sick,
and Robert
bro.
Muldoon. Why it's not specifically stated, it is clear that Dennis was not one of the deaths Ian was talking about, probably because Ian was unaware of the death, or InGen had actually
is most
covered
likely.
it up. And why
he
would
was
they do that, I wonder?
He was doing everything covert, so I don't think anyone knew of him
in the Lost World Jurassic
throughout
Park,
the movie,
Peter Ludlow
unless
mentions
except for the beginning.
families of Gennaro, Muldoon, and Ray Arnold suing InGen for their deaths, but he does not mention the Nedry family, which is extremely odd. But one could argue and say possibly that Nedry had no family. If even that was the case, there would have been an investigation and compensation would have been given somewhere. And let's not forget, we do know Dennis Nedry has 2 relatives on file. We have Diane, who's his sister supposedly, and Danny Nedmere, which is his nephew. Both of these, however, are considered non-canon and they're from the Lego franchise, so I'll not be counting them in this entry. Now, we know InGen tried to cover up the Jurassic Park incident because it's mentioned directly
honestly,
with
I've
Ludlow
played Lego
and
games. I do not
Malcolm.
remember anything
But what
about
is
that.
interesting, the fact of Dennis Nedry either A, never knew about his death, or B, decided to not sue. However, the likelihood of them not knowing that Dennis Nedry went missing on Jurassic Park is highly unlikely because the report of the 1994 cleanup eventually comes to light. So any surviving relatives at this stage would 100% be on InGen's case and suing for their money.
I mean,
but there is a huge
he did take one of the Jeeps, so they would have known one was missing eventually, and they would have went to go look for it. Because I mean, it's one of their assets, so not going to look for one of your assets is kind of stupid if it's gone missing.
Problem and reasons
Just
why they
bunch
wouldn't.
of money just
Let's
gone.
think back for a second. Dennis Nedry was directly responsible for the events at Jurassic Park. Not to mention, he was conducting industrial espionage, which InGen could have sued him for anyway, and for the destruction of Jurassic Park. The likelihood
lucky he got
is
his lights
family
turned
did
off by
contact InGen
Dilo.
with intent to sue. InGen, on the other hand, countered this with a claim saying he was probably responsible for his own death. And not only that, he's
I mean,
the
he
one who
was
shut
pissing
down the
off the
systems,
Dilo.
resulting in the dinosaurs escaping, and conducted industrial espionage in itself, which was illegal. Now, I'm no lawyer, but in a court of law, I would find it very difficult for Nedry's family to sue InGen for something he'd created himself and
Stupid
was
ass.
conducting espionage. Now, this next one is genuinely quite haunting because it's real, and many people never even knew existed despite walking right past it. You see, this was an attraction in Universal Studios Orlando, Florida. It was only open for a few years, but then got abandoned and completely closed off, and was just left to rot. The eeriness of this zone and place is unreal. Completely overgrown,
Eeriness.
not maintained, and was literally yards away from a
Literally.
bustling theme park, but no one knew it existed. There's something awfully eerie and off about a place which should be full of people, yet is completely abandoned, but yet literally only meters away is a bustling theme park, but all these people there are completely unaware of its existence, unknown as to what is going on behind all this foliage. And that to me is quite eerie and creepy. And while we're on the subject of abandoned places, let's talk about something else which was abandoned and is classed as a lost piece of media for Jurassic Park. In itself, it's quite haunting, and I am talking about the lost media of
toilet where the one guy
Jurassic
got
Park
killed.
4. In early 2004, before Salis was on the project, a draft was being doctored that allegedly included dinosaurs trained as super soldiers.
Dinosaurs.
While the series' technical advisor Jack Horner claimed that the Mohanan script laid out an evolutionary connection between human and dinosaurs, hinting that a dino-human hybrid could be the grand payoff for this idea. In any case, regardless where that concept came from, is this vision which lives on in the minds of so many people and Jurassic fans. The dinosaur hybrids in this script are fused with human DNA and
what
dog
the heck?
DNA to ensure a perfect balance of fierceness, intelligence, and
would a
obedience,
human dino
combined with strength and
combination
speed.
be stronger than a
Soldier Harris
werewolf?
is
I
commanded by
wonder.
the Swiss
That
to
would be
train
insane.
these hybrids for rescue missions.
Match of
and also
someone,
to
please
assassinate
make that
drug
fight.
dealers.
We
On
need to see
top
it.
of their weaponized teeth and claws, the dinosaurs are even given armored suits to wear in their missions, which entails fighting both terrorists and drug lords. Now, obviously, to a Jurassic fan, this is a far out concept with dinosaurs taking on drug lords and war and everything else in between. And this is only the start. As more widely circulated than the script itself, there's some official artwork that leaked in 2012. Although Sales himself confirmed his leaked scripts are
love
genuine,
leaks.
concept art later provided that the hybrid idea was actually under serious consideration and not merely the product of an unpolished second
Bro, that's
draft.
just Lizard.
A
The middle
further
one is
concept
literally
image
Lizard
released
Man.
in
The
2016
lizard guy from
depicted a
Spider-Man,
green
Amazing
hybrid
Spider-Man.
named Raptor Man, who sported an
Oh,
arm
shit.
cannon. At some point, this was a very real idea and seriously considered for Jurassic Park 4
That would have been
as
an
they were going
insane
ahead with
addition
production.
to the
Despite
movie.
how grotesque and horrible looking they are, nothing compares to this next dinosaur.
Bro,
it's the
what the
only
heck?
one of its kind featured in Jurassic Park media, and believe you me, this is a thing of nightmares. Now,
That
immediately
is a
you think
nightmare
it's gotta
right
be
there.
something huge, something which would be far scarier than the Indominus Rex or the Scorpius Rex. Well, not really. It doesn't have to be huge. But
Lay it
see,
on
this
us.
is a parasitic dinosaur we're talking about, which we know was in Jurassic World. You see, the official
Parasitic.
DPW Twitter account, or X as it's called now, confirmed a sighting of this dinosaur in the woods, and it actually resembles the one which gave me nightmares, the one from Jurassic Park, the game, which we
Oh, what
know
the
wasn't
heck?
canon.
Those things-
But now,
bro,
because
what
of this new evidence, the design will be. And not only that, this dinosaur was cut from Jurassic World Chaos Theory as an assassin dinosaur
Bruh.
and would have been used as the same purpose as the Atrociraptor pack.
Atrociraptor.
The Troodon. And this is the
those
reason
things look
why
sick.
you wouldn't want them
And insane.
running around Jurassic World, because just one bite, like I said, paralyzes you, and then comes
Bro,
the
those-
fate. which
imagine
I
seeing
believe
that
is
in your last
probably worse
moments,
than
you're
death.
getting
But we're only
bit on
just
the ass.
getting started on the real horror of this clone species. The nightmare reputation can be owed to its venomous bite, which would cause hallucinations, and in some cases, the victim would become extremely violent and attack nearby individuals. Unless the infection was treated by an
similar
extremely
to the
powerful tranquilizer, the
virus
victim will go into a
disease
series
X,
convulsions,
or whatever it's called.
seizures, and the final stage of paralysis and brain death. But this is only the start of the Troodon's hunting tactic.
Bro.
Using this venom as their primary weapon, they would hunt by biting their victim and then fleeing, but stalking their victim as it
that's a
suffered
mad
from the
bite.
effects of the venom. That is when the Troodon would lay its eggs. Now, I did say the Troodon were nightmare
does it lay the
horrors,
eggs
and this
inside
is
the body?
next part. So if you're squeamish, I
Bro.
would recommend skipping this part. When a Troodon was about to lay eggs, she would kill one of her prey as usual, but instead of eating her kill, she would instead partially bury it in a secluded area. While the victim was still paralyzed, she would rip open her victim and lay eggs in them. So in a human, it would be the abdomen. It is presumed that the victim's body is used to provide both body heat and food for
protection.
the hatchlings, which would proceed to eat the corpse from the inside out.
I mean, more so, I would also probably think it would... Actually, no, it wouldn't. It would draw... I was going to say mask the scent of the eggs, but that's stupid because I don't think the eggs have scent. But first of all, the blood of a human would attract other dinosaurs. Like, a T-Rex would just come and gobble the man in one bite, then what? Baby's gone. I don't know. They must have hit it or something. Maybe I was watching this because I'm stupid, but whatever. That's disgusting. I hate spiders.
Troodon being the only non-insect that uses this method.
Why are you touching it?
We're really just getting started with the Troodon. Upon Troodon's creation, Dr. John Hammond, founder of InGen, did not add Troodon to InGen's list because it did not fit his vision of Jurassic Park. Ultimately, Hammond ordered these clones to be destroyed along with the records of their creation. But the doctor who created them instead lied to John Hammond.
Bro, these 3D shots where it's like slow motion, like it's so sick.
Quarantine pens to continue studying them.
Exactly.
Now, this is where it starts to get really interesting. Now, when Dennis Nedry disabled Jurassic Park's security systems in order to steal dinosaur embryos for Lewis Dodgson, he disabled the quarantine pens containing the Troodon pack as well, allowing them to roam freely. A massive mistake. Now, before we go any further, it is worth pointing out that this law comes directly from Jurassic Park, the game.
Thank you.
Although
Not thank you.
Troodons
Not
are
thank you.
technically canon because they're part of Jurassic World, the live tour, and Jurassic Park, the game, is considered soft canon. They're also part of Jurassic World
must be so
Evolution.
sensitive
The first
to light,
action of
like
the
super
Troodon
sensitive.
was handing Nima Kruz, a woman who Nedry was supposed to meet at the East Dock to give him the embryos. If it wasn't for Dr. Hardin, she would have died a few hours later. The next day, they attacked several people, including Daniel Cafaro, who was the pilot of a helicopter. The Troodons dragged his body to a room inside the geothermal power plant where a female laid eggs inside his chest. Due to the nature of the
that lady
Troodons
was walking up to the guy. It took so long to realize what is happening.
Glow in the dark, so there's an easy way to see them. This is how Nima was able to see the Troodons in the darkness. And does this not look exactly like the picture we see on the Dino Tracker website? It does. And the fact that they were meant to be cast in Jurassic World Chaos Theory tells me they are definitely out there. And I, for one, couldn't think of a worse fate than being paralyzed, eaten alive.
If they added something similar in the new movie, that would be so sick.
Waiting for them
something that just stalks you and paralyzes you and turns you against your own friends.
Lost in time, was never even released, but yet we found it. That's right, the first ever hybrid dinosaur before Jurassic World, the Ultimasaurus.
Oh,
This to me shows that InGen had other plans than simply cloning dinosaurs. They planned on gene splicing. Well, we know that happens in Jurassic World because of the hybrids, but before that, in Jurassic Park, they had them plans themselves. And this horrible, grotesque creation
why wouldn't they decide? Like, if they're really making trying to make normal dinosaurs, why not just make hybrids for more attraction? But they don't think about the repercussions that could happen.
It never made it onto the shelves. But believe it or not, there are
Look how chunky
extreme
this thing is, so
similarities
fat.
between Ultimasaurus and the Indominus Rex, which is obviously the hybrid from Jurassic World.
Indominus was so sick. Such a good dinosaur.
We can only theorize that InGen was going to mess in gene splicing with the Tyrannosaurus Rex, a Triceratops, Velociraptor, an Anki. Truly an unethical thing and horrific thing to do to any living animal, let alone put it on display to the public in Jurassic Park. And let's face it, we all know how that turned out with just normal clone dinosaurs. If you can even call them normal. All of these pieces of media are haunting in their own right, whether they're forgotten about, abandoned, grotesque, or just all unethically wrong. But they all share one thing in common. They truly are haunting pieces of Jurassic Park media. And with that, I'm shutting down the power in the park, and I'm going to wait in the control room for rescue. Surely someone will come. They have to, right? I'd also like to thank my YouTube members who are on screen now, who help make these videos.
Yeah, but these doing with the power is funny. But anyways, there's a lot of potential, I would say, giving out this information with few new dinos and infections and whatnot. For the new movie, I hope they bring some sort of, how do I say this? I hope they bring it up in the new movie, like bring some link to it to say this is actually canon, every single one of these things. But I'm excited to see the new movie, and I'm excited. I know I'm bringing up the new movie, it's not part of any of this, but I'm just excited. But this was dope. This is so sick, seeing all the other things you never get to see in movies because they either don't want to put it in or the budget just runs out. So go check out Shadows and give it like, subscribe there. And if you enjoyed, like, subscribe here as well. But I will check you guys in the next one. Peace out.